All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go all fancy pants on this. I'm still all right. Still going. Fancy pants on this. Hopefully, this won't get all the. All right. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna. Okay. Fancy book, not really. I would say, look, this is my I wrote that right. This is my thing right there. Then, like, that's some postpartum Helen and Troy thing there. I don't know if this is. This is the sources on this. I'm not even sure this is in this book, but there's rumors based on different sources. Rumors, as in stuff that was written down once Helen of Troy was out of Sparta, because Helen of Troy was a Spartan. That's what got. That's one of those things that she got seduced, was meant for Menelaus, but instead picked up, seduced by Paris, whatever it is, the king of some dude that has to do with Sparta, I think. Something like this, whatever it is. Yeah. I'm gonna get this all crazy wrong because who cares? I'm like, oh, no one's listening to this anyway. And my seriousness to this is clearly lacking, but of course I'm compelled to do this sort of thing with the voice in my head. Then Tiberius chose Menelaus, the brother of Sparta. Yes, brother Agamemnon, the king of Sparta as well. Isn't it interesting that I'm just not very together for this? That I've written about this thing enough times that when push comes to shove, for whatever reason, I don't have much to say about it. Helen was the thing was that the point of this, whether or not Helen is this is stuff you can look up on your own. My interest in this is whether or not when Helen was taken away to Sparta, maybe to have a college education, because that wasn't the thing back then, so had to deal with running the temple. So how in the world do you grow up? Like if you're told that college is a social education, right? That college is a social education, you don't go to college, so apparently you just don't get that social education. That's kind of the implication in a lot of ways, right? That's kind of the point that was at least that makes some sort of sense that the only form of social education is at college, because the real world just wouldn't advertise that, because it's just that sort of thing. But Helen went to Troy, was picked up by Paris, seduced, and was meant for Menelaus, who was the brother of Agamemnon, who was a Spartan. So basically, you kind of assume that if Menelaus was set aside for Helen was set aside for Menelaus, who was both a Spartan, and there's the heritage of all this stuff is probably may and vary from source to source. I mean, it's whisked away off to Troy, Greece, or wherever the hell it is, and then is, by rumors of, based on which source you read, is kind of maligned based on, let's see, those who basically like her and those who don't like her. She gets out in the Iliad. She gets out. In the Iliad, Helen of Troy gets out, rescued, saved by Aphrodite. Paris didn't make it, because Paris was kind of like one of those sort of deals. He just something like that. He was the whole setup for this is just wonky. Like Paris is asked to judge a beauty contest, and it just gets wonky. It just gets wonky. So what ends up happening afterwards is she's kind of maligned because of whether or not she undermined or kind of basically had the run of the church at some point. because she's basically because whoever it was whoever runs Troy or likes her, Priam likes Helena Troy, and kind of gives her like free reins. So think about that, right? If she's actually if she's giving the free reins to the church, and has the okay of like of Paris's father, and like think about this, right? I've said this like the other damn day, and this is some sort of, and this, the thing is like she's supposed to be the it was all about like the most beautiful woman in the world. But of course, this was basically, who knows the criteria for this? But it's only, what does I want to say? But since I'm making this connection between, the Miley Cyrus controversy and the fact that there's, blood, whatever, occurring down from her mouth and things, that there is some weird shit going on that's mentioned in this sort of stuff, that she's accused of basically yeah, here it is. The legend of Helen Troy during her time are contradictory. All right, that was nice and handy. Helen depicts her ambivalently, both regretfully of her choice and sly in her attempts to redeem her public image. Other accounts have a treacherous Helen who seemingly balked at rights and rejoiced in the carnage she caused. Ultimately, Paris was killed in action, and Homer's account was reunited with Menelaus only through other versions of the legend recount her ascending to Olympus instead. A cult associated with her developed in Helen and Laconia, both the she's also like a big deal somewhere else. So there's simulated Bacchic rites. That itself means that's Dionysian, that's that sort of stuff. That's the grape wine sort of thing. Which that's Mediterranean. That is purely Mediterranean, wine country sort of deal. All that sort of shit, and the blood and the wine, that sort of thing, right? You could say that sort of thing. But here's how I'm going to spin this to be, how old is Miley Cyrus at this point, right? I don't even know how old Miley Cyrus is at this point. Let's look it up. According to this, we've got 92. All right. Actually got a birthday coming up in a few days. All right. So 92. Right now she's 27, going to be 28. So that's how old. I don't know shit about, and apparently she's recently divorced. I don't know much at all about something other than a jig. But I'm going to say, you could say this is free fall, but not in a bad way, because it's just, think about this. Okay. Here's one of the things here's one of the points I'm trying to make with this. Is this new? I doubt it. I mean, if it keeps getting retold, it's a story that keeps on. It's a story that keeps on storying. It just gets updated. But because it's the Bacchic rites, and they have to be reinterpreted. That's one of the big things why there's reboots, remakes, because new versions of old movies, all that sort of stuff. Even Sweet November, I'll pull that out of nowhere because it's November, was a remake of a movie from the 1950s, right? Which Sweet November is a cover, is the one that's with Charlize Theron and Keanu Reeves. That was 90s, and there's the other one made with someone else. Let's look it up. It's not Biol. So there's that, and then there's the 2001 film. Okay, 2001 film, and then there's the one that was based on the 1968 movie. Sandy Denny, I think that's how it's Sandy Dennis, Sandra, then. That sort of thing. So this, again, she was born in November. 23rd, so a few days. So you get to a point, and then Charlie meets Alonzo, and sort of stuff, and then all this sort of weird sort of thing, right? So, but then you had to say, well, why would this keep getting reinterpreted? Why would this keep getting reinterpreted? Like, what's the big deal about the story? But I don't know. All I can say is I like Thanksgiving. All I can simply say is I like Thanksgiving. I like the end of whatever. It's one of those, for me. There's not a whole lot of this pomp and circumstance that you encounter with Christmas and whatever, right? So if you want to play November like it's a numbers game, fine. It's November, like 9, all that sort of stuff. And then there's 11. It's 11th month of the year, whatever. And then it's on Thursday. But then turkeys are unique to the North and South America. So good luck trying to tie a lot of this Helen stuff to that sort of thing. But then again, wouldn't you have to at this point? Because turkeys, I had to look this shit up too because I bought a turkey. I bought a fucking turkey. I bought a fucking turkey, frozen turkey, because I'm like, yeah, that's what it's going to be. I'm not going to be bratwurst this year. It's going to be frozen turkey. So that's the thing, is this may be like, yeah, this may be one of the few times I really bother with this, because I just don't cook. There's not never really bake roasted turkey. So there's that. There's the whole Sagittarius thing, which again I'm new to this whole sort of giving a shit about the zodiac, which I don't really give a shit about the zodiac. It's just one of those things that's in the background. It's an angle. It's one of the things. The whole Taurus thing. It's just basically that's the extent of it. My brother was born in late November, and is younger than me. So that's more or less kind of, he would have that sort of awareness than me. But from my point of view, yeah, I couldn't really, that stuff was just one of those things that was just out there. So this would be why I can make this sort of, hold on a minute, make this association, whether inconspicuously with what's going on, at least visually. And this, just pause it right here for this one, this 25-second clip. It's just let this thing that's it. And then there's also dark-haired, where it was blonde girl. That's not anything new, right? That's not anything. That's been around anything bullshit. Because that goes all the way back to the 1960s, Betty and Veronica, who of course started that sort of thing. There was never a thing before then. Betty and Veronica, never of a thing. So what would be the significance of a woman with dark or even black hair, brown hair, black hair, than a blonde girl? And they're both not. They don't think one isn't. Wouldn't say like one. I don't think it'd be, if at most, being a light-skinned African American with Dua Lipa. So there's that sort of thing. But here's another sort of thing. I'm just going to piece this together. Should anyone be surprised by this? If this is bad, or whatever it is, a bad representation, which I'm not even making that claim. If this is bad, why would you be surprised by this? Because of one reason that you should be surprised by this, and that is Judge Dredd and the character Mama. Why would that matter? One reason. Prostitute got her shit all fucked up and crap, right? Got it all cut up and whatever, right? And then everyone likes her, right? So, and then there's the other character, Unforgiven. Don't worry, you won't. This won't make other sense. Images. Why would this matter? I've tried to explain this sort of thing. Here's Sweetie image there, right? That's it. This sort of like that sort of thing. And even in the movie, it said you're cut up, but you're the one with the scars, right? That's what he ended up saying, right? Or see, I say I'm the one that's traumatized, but you're the one with the scars. But keep in mind, ends up a prostitute, and then cast it where it was. But then this is in '92, and then when's this? 2012. 20 years later, this prostitute lady is running a criminal organization and is brown haired. Right? I mean, sure, they got this stuff, right? Do I have to fucking explain this shit? If you were to trace the character of like scarred, how many scarred prostitutes have been depicted in popular culture, and now they be toting guns in movies and things, because that wouldn't happen. They wouldn't go that far. That sort of thing, right? I mean, the angry woman wouldn't ever go bother to get a gun or get suggestions about ammunition and things like that, right? That's carelessness. Or is it? I mean, it's just... And I say this on the, there's this, I mean, I had this one sort of conversation going on, not really, it's just being sending messages to someone on Instagram about if like the women are the one carrying the guns and I'm stuck figuring out the syllables to ancient Greek words for like the daughters of like Eris, E-R-I-S, discord and that sort of thing, the 15 daughters of Eris, and yet the women are the one with the guns. That's masculine, right? That speaks a lot. That speaks volumes about state of men these days, right? That who's wearing the pants, I guess, so to speak, right? It's just one of those sort of. So I mean, I wonder why. You could say where there's one about the stylized, where there's this sort of thing, and that sort of deal there. But the real, more or less, the issue is the general evolution of this stuff, because this has been a thing that's been going on for what, like, because the idea of emasculation has never been around. That's the new thing, right? And this isn't even really about that sort of thing, right? It's just about a shift, right? Because there haven't been any sort of hints of like feminism hasn't been around in like feminism hasn't been around since the 1950s. But it has. So it's like it's just how long can this sort of female rebelliousness be ignored, right? It's just this sort of. I mean, it's just. I'm not walking a fine line because I don't think there is one. Because if y'all don't acknowledge that sort of thing either, why the fuck would I, or anyone else? Why? What's the if the message is guys get things done a certain way, and it usually involves in the involvement of women, then what if women just caught on and called it like it is? This is how they like it. This is how they get it. Simplicity. This is not against. This character could have been cast anyone could have played this character, right? Plus, any character could play this character, right? But that's kind of the issue, is that you got what you wanted in some ways, right? If you wanted to be something or other, told what to by others, and then not thought and all this other stuff, and be led around all those sort of things, and then you got what you wanted. It can be so played like that. That if the image is that you don't want to think for yourself, then others will take care of it for you. If you don't want to live your own life, people will decide what your life will be for you. So it's a thing, right? It's not. This ain't even like the apocalypse, right? This is nowhere close to that. Because there would have to be some sort of like clear sides, and there's just not. There seems to be no sides. It's just done. It's just over with. It's just flat out apathy. It's just something like this, or just lethargy, or something, inertia, something just set in that just basically, everyone, the coronavirus has wiped out the sun from the souls of the population, and that's it, right? And there's just no will to bother with anything else. Why not? I mean, I end up trying to piece this together because the details of this whole Helena Troy thing, which I'm trying to tie to this, is I'm not saying Miley Cyrus is a prostitute. That's not the connection. It's just this evolution of characters, or of sort of this thing. This Helena Troy more likely wasn't a prostitute either, but just sort of like one of those sort of things that just whisked away to wherever it was, right? And then even in the Odyssey, that's found out that they had to get their shit straight. Helen and Menelaus had to get their shit straight. We're going to Egypt, because that's one of the things about Egypt was that it was orderly, because they at least had the Nile River, rose and like fell on a regular basis yearly. And that was like, okay, well, at least that shit doesn't. At least we can count on that being regular and plan the crops around that sort of thing. So then they went back to Sparta. But then Odysseus is in the shit. Odysseus is still in the fucking shit. Because in whatever it was, they find out that Odysseus is still trying to get back from the Trojan War. See? Whatever that might be. Yeah, then from there, right, this part of me saying there he finds Menelaus and Helen, who are now reconciled. Both Helen and Menelaus also say they returned to Sparta after a long voyage by way of Egypt. There on the island of Pharos, Menelaus encounters the old sea god Proteus, who told him that Odysseus was a captive of the nymph Calypso. Telemachus learns the fate of Menelaus' brother Agamemnon, brother king of Mycenae. Aha. Menelaus' brother Mycenae is also like those Spartan guys, right? Or something like that. I don't even know. Look it up your fucking self. Now my job to play classical historian. I don't even have a bachelor's degree. I'm looking at this stuff on Wikipedia. You see right here, wherever it is. I'm not. Who's to say this has even happened? I even read the book. Who didn't we get this right? Who fucking knows? But the point of the matter is they end up somewhere else. And then, well, one of the bigger dudes in the Trojan saga is stranded after times where it was in Samoa-Jig. So here's the deal. Like, even people have said that the Odyssey is this way of trying to deal with like post-traumatic stress disorder from guys having to deal with, like a guy having to deal with his crew coming back from war for how long that war thing went on, right? So what ends up happening with Odysseus, he ends up basically shacking up with various people for like 1 year at some point, another year at some other point. Like Circe, he hangs out with Circe for a year, who's the one, like the pig, whatever it was, that turns his crew into pigs and stuff. And then ends up with Calypso for like 9 years, like, yeah. Yeah, Circe's, yeah, reembarked. So only escape. He sailed to visit the witch goddess Circe, who turns half of his men into swine after feeding them cheese and wine. And Hermes warns Odysseus about Circe and a strong resist the magic. And then the bands get the crew out of the bed. Island in the boat. Stay for a year. They feast. Fine. Then at some point gets involved with like Calypso. Compels him to remain as her lover for 7 years. He finally escapes when Hermes tells Calypso to release him. So basically, he wasn't going to leave. So whatever it was. So then the whole story with this is, if like your old brother, where art thou? Which is a version of this. It's a Americanized version. A fucking Americanized version of this shit, right? the John Goodman character plays like the Cyclops. There's the three sirens in the river in the river, sort of this creek or the stream, and then all this sort of stuff. The Tiresias guy is the guy on the rails because Hermes is like the prophets, the couriers, sort of like that sort of deal. You know, and they found the Hermes head like in the Greek sewer or something like that, right? Recently, the sculpture of the Hermes head recently. I guess no one else seems to notice this, right? Something like that, like news that was one of those sort of things. Yeah, ancient Greek statue dug up in Athens 4 days ago, Hermes. That sort of thing. And all that sort of shit. I'm trying, then the one guy gets turned into a horny toad or some point, but that was tough to say what the deal with that was. I don't remember enough of that sort of thing, but it's not really exactly a pig, but the whole point is trying to get back to the suitors, and they having like maybe deal with questionable things like steel pies and things, but it's a pie, right? You got to eat and all this sort of stuff. You don't have all this sort of things, and it's right. It's like who knows why it was there? If it would come back to something like that. Pies are luxury things, right? And then then they end up making some money, where it was like some sort of Robert Johnson character, right? Some sort of deal to get further down the road or something, and it's just one of those stories. Maybe this used to be more common, like in a real life situation, like instead of this, maybe just like things went the way they did because they had to get portrayed in movies and things. So it's like Odysseus, and then there's the suitors, the curiously numbered suitors, the 108 suitors, all looking to bang or whatever, get in the pants of, or may already been in the pants of, like Odysseus's chick, whoever the hell that is. So basically, she's just trying to wait things out. He's got to get back to the thing so they can know what to do. So that's sort of deal. Like that's the whole plot, and yet still not that big of a deal because he stalled for goddamn time after time after time after time after time after time. Blind Singers tells of like where it was that you'll see a cow on like a, and then your curly ears somewhere. Yeah, something like where it's basically the boat, all that sort of stuff. The thing with this, there's 108, 109 some suitors, and like the story of it is since basically he gets to get back and like kill off all the people trying to vie for his lady, and archery competition, that sort of thing. Then, which is the only way he was able to do a certain thing. Then he kills the other 8 suitors. Yeah. Then basically he just goes on a killing spree. That's the thing. Like, could you argue that at some point that the whole point of the delay was so basically he could take out that and he could clear a room that fast? Because think about this. This is the next day is Athena's prompting. Penelope maneuvers the suitors into competing for her hand with archery competition. Odysseus' bow. The man can string the bow and shoot an arrow through a dozen axe heads. Think about this shit. A dozen axe heads would win. If there's no concept of how sturdy metal is, like this, but thicker, and 12 more of them, so that's one strong fucking arrow. Odysseus would take part in the competition. He alone is not strong enough to string the bow and shoot the arrow through the dozen axe heads, making him the winner. He then throws off his rags and kills Antinous, something like that. With his next arrow, he kills the other suitors, first using the rest of the arrows, then by sword and spears, once both sides armed in themselves. Once the battle is won, Telemachus all hangs. 12 of their household maids were guilty of betraying Penelope, having sex with the suitors. Yeah. So basically, some sort of criteria is involved that Penelope only figure out that only Odysseus could pull off. He meets this sort of challenge and basically wipes them all out. Maybe not single-handedly, but he has help. But Again, this is a sort of deal. And he stalled, however long it takes to make it back, that sort of thing. That I'll sort of say this sort of deal. Crap, no, I don't want it. Oh, here we go. Crap, I don't want it either. I'm not saying, I'm telling a story. Listen to my fucking story. Don't interrupt my goddamn story. Voice in my head. So here's the thing, right? It's just one of those deals that, see, a boisterous young man who aimed to persuade Penelope for her hand in marriage. So this is a way of interpreting this that doesn't involve picking nits over the plot. It's just a general, if this did or didn't happen in the plot, then it's a general story that you could interpret this. Like, why would it take someone to do, if you want to do something right, why would it take, it's going to take time, right? That's what you can say. Yeah, after the war, so his journey lasts for 10 additional years, during which time he carries the out. So basically, he's fighting, for every year he ended up fighting for the war, or fighting in the Trojan War. He takes 10 years to straighten his shit out. So he can go back and, in theory, just kill again, for maybe different reasons, I guess, or something. You can interpret it like this because it's a way of interpreting this sort of stuff. And yet, this ties in Helena Troy because of like this whole Helena Troy thing, like where it was. That's just sort of But then, if this is the case, then this is like running the church Helena Troy, in Troy, Helena Troy sort of thing, sort of like the city, that sort of deal. Not like just like, no, sort of thing. It's just if the stories keep repeating, and then this is a video, by the way. This is a video. Right? And yet you wonder, why do people watch videos? Why do people watch movies and all this sort of stuff? Why all this sort of stuff? What's the purpose of it all? Like, what's the significance of going to them? Why did Greeks get involved with theater and stick instead with just this sort of stuff, but all this sort of thing? And does hair color matter? Does that sort of thing matter? Other personal preferences or something like that? Why do gentlemen prefer blondes? Why are diamonds a girl's best friend? Where's Tony? Where's he? So you just kind of wonder that must contend with a group of unruly suitors who compels. Like, so is this like this? Odysseus is assumed dead. So this is an interpretation of this. Because this happened earlier with like Christina Aguilera, but not quite like this with her Dirty video. Yeah. The Dirty video, right? This is when? When did this happen? 2002. Feature artist Redman. There's no significance there. The colors don't mean anything, right? This is what? 18 years, 18 years later, and then there's Miley Cyrus, and she's 28. Then how old is Christina Aguilera during this? Which is 2002, which is 1980. So she's about 22, so younger in the Dirty video than when Christina Aguilera, Christina Aguilera is younger in the Dirty video than Miley Cyrus is in the Prisoner video. So, and so that sort of thing is 1980, born in 1980, 1992. I don't have the way of really tying this sort of thing together in a fancy pants way of looking at it. But 27 years, like she's like whatever it was. Yeah, think about that. 27 years. Didn't join the 27 club, so it seems like got several more days before that happens, right? and all that stuff was like sort of whatever it is, right? But and Wooden was the only one who bothered with the 27 Club. Like, I hate to say this sort of thing, but even like the rest of the year, if you're born in 1980, you turn 27, or 1980, you turn 27 in 2007. But 1992, 93, that sort of thing, right? But yeah, but this is not supposed to mean anything, right? This is not supposed to mean anything, right? That's the thing, right? And then you keep getting, yeah, it's after a while you just get and then the whole damn time, because you just it has a meaning even if you don't like me saying it, or the person saying it, or how it makes you feel. Meaning is emotionless, right? Because you can read a book and it doesn't have emotion because it's a book. Books don't have emotions. They're paper. They're paper with ink on them, or some sort of thing. That's it. And then anything else, this is just basically this virtual. This is electrons on a screen that's displayed, and yet no emotions here, and yet no emotion. Yeah, here's like here. Watch this. You can't even tell, right? You can't even really tell because you turn off the thing, whatever it was, something like that. Doesn't matter, right? Something like that. How does do this? No emotions, right? No emotions. It's all in your head. Where, oddly enough, your heart should be where it is, right? And yet, yeah, don't pressure any of these fucking women into this sort of like killing themselves. That'd make you a bigger piece of shit, right? And you got enough fucking problems. Just don't. Because remember what I said earlier, right? There's people make things have wised up a tad, right? Things have wised up a tad, right? Or is it this? Tick tock, tick tock. Who's afraid of an old dead clock? Right? Captain Hook. Always afraid of the clock and the big crocodile, right? And the boys who never grew up in Never Never Land, right? I don't even know how that fucking story played out, right? I read it way the hell back ago. I don't even know how accurate the movie Hook was compared to the actual thing, right? Them crocodiles, man. Them crocodiles, right? Yeah, those things, right? Crocodiliopulus. Crocodilo. I can't say that. So basically, you could say this is. Yeah, okay. I'll admit I strung this sort of thing together. I strung the whole. This I didn't expect the whatever it was, but this is just sort of a thing, right? If this is some sort of weird Helen of Troy sort of deal, and I don't even know who in the world, like if Helen of Troy, when she was in Troy, what if she had some like one of her girlfriends or something like that there? Because you get the impression she just run off this sort of thing, but it could be there could be significance whether or not, and this plays out a certain way, right? But it's a video. It's a public figure, has been a public figure for years. Dua Lipa's kind of newer to that sort of It's been on the stage a little bit long, not as long, but still, right? So, who knows, right? I don't even know, like, but this is in Egypt. This is an Egyptian thing. I'm not even sure what the cult really involves. I'm not. And then would you really want to? I wouldn't base this on anything I had to say about this on me. 'Cause I just don't know. This is not my thing. I mean, like Katy Perry, right? Even Katy Perry had her Dark Horse video, right? And that's like the sort of the Egyptian sort of stuff. I mean, how far back was that? Was there Cheetos and things, right? (2013). So that's the. This is the image. I mean, look, the picture right there is like that sort of deal, right? So this is. So whether it's some sort of Cleopatra sort of deal, right? Or sort of deal, or this the. Yeah, the plate of Cheetos, right? The big plate of Cheetos, or the junk food, right? The junk food caravan, right? Or cheese balls, or whatever it is. See, I figured out this one thing. That's how I just kind of described where it was. Katy Perry kind of is like, it's like way of doing this thing for like the girls like easy bake ovens. Like this sort of like this stuff you can kind of get in like a gas station sort of thing, right? Or without that sort of stuff, right? So I don't quite get what the significance of the. I'm just going to go ahead and stop. But the thing is, you can say this is cornball or not. Whether or not it's just this weird sort of introduction of Egyptian related stuff, time and time again, and then like wasn't like Cleopatra. She's played by Elizabeth Taylor way back when with Marcus Aurelius, all that sort of stuff way back when, right? The last active ruler, blah blah blah. But that's sort of general companion of Alexander the Great. Let's see, was her ethnicity? I guess is kind of. Yeah, Mark Antony. Mark Antony. Okay, anyway. I don't know if, I don't. Managed to reread something. Then at this point, yeah, my understanding of this stuff is kind of like you could say that Hamlet and all these sort of like why? What's the significance of this stuff? I hate to call all these literary references for this sort of thing, but the significance of story, the significance of public figures, all this sort of thing. I don't want to do your damn dirty work, right? That's funny. It's like it's just one of those sort of deals. After a while, it's just yeah. I'm sorry, I'm talking to the voice in my head. These piggyback riders, right? These piggyback motherfuckers that just all they want is just someone else to do it for them so they can live the life of the world they never were going to get. So and for what? For a video that how many people are watching? Not virtually watching, none are watching. So, and yet, I wish you all the sanest, rest of the sanest of Thursdays. Fridays. Sanest Friday you'll ever fucking have.